What comes to mind when you hear the phrase, the American dream? For most people, it's a picture. A house in the suburbs with a neat lawn and a white picket fence. 2 cars in the driveway. A family that looks stable, respectable, and financially secure. A career that pays the bills. College degrees on the wall, and a future that feels predictable. It's the promise that if you work hard, you can make it. That prosperity is waiting for anyone willing to put in the effort. It's noble, it's inspiring, it's deeply ingrained. But here's the truth that rarely gets spoken out loud. The American dream, at least the way you've been taught to understand it, wasn't designed to make you free. It was designed to keep you working. It wasn't meant to give you wealth. It was meant to keep you in debt. The dream, as it has been marketed for decades, is an illusion, and the sooner you see it, the sooner you can break free. So let's go back to the beginning. Let's look at where this dream started, how it was twisted, and why millions remain stuck chasing a fantasy that was never meant to serve them. The birth of the dream. The phrase, the American dream, was first coined in 1931 by a historian named James Truslow Adams. In his book, The Epic of America, Adams didn't describe a world of mortgages, credit cards, and shopping malls. He wasn't talking about buying a house or climbing a corporate ladder. What he described was something deeper, a vision of America as a place where life could be fuller and richer, where people could rise based on talent and effort rather than birth or social class. It was about possibility, not possessions. But something happened in the decades that followed. The idea was hijacked. What began as a call to freedom and self-determination slowly morphed into a blueprint for conformity. By the mid-20th century, the American dream wasn't about who you could become. It was about what you could own. After World War II, America entered a period of booming prosperity. The soldiers came home. Factories shifted from producing weapons to producing consumer goods. The GI Bill offered returning veterans access to low-cost mortgages and college education. This was the moment when the dream was rewritten. The dream became a house in the suburbs, a 30-year mortgage, a steady job, a car for every adult, college for the kids, a TV in the living room. On the surface, it looked like progress. In reality, it was dependence. You weren't free because you had a house. You were chained to a bank for 3 decades. You weren't safe because you had a job. You were tied to a paycheck that owned your time and your choices. And it was genius, because the system made you believe you had arrived. You believed you were successful. You didn't notice the cage. Homeownership became the crown jewel of the American dream. Politicians preached it. Advertisers romanticized it. Banks financed it. And families bought into it. But the truth about mortgages is simple. They are not pathways to freedom. They are leashes. The 30-year mortgage was popularized in the 1930s. On paper, it made homeownership accessible to more people. In practice, it created a system where families would spend the majority of their working lives indebted to a bank. And here's the cruel irony. By the time most people finally own their home outright, they are near retirement age. They have spent their best years paying interest, often 2 or 3 times the actual cost of the house. And many never make it that far. Recessions, job losses, and health issues lead to foreclosures. Whole families lose everything to a bank they've been paying faithfully for decades. The house was never freedom. It was security for the lender. Another pillar of the American dream is the secure job. From childhood, most people were taught the same script. Work hard in school, get good grades, go to college, get a good job, climb the ladder, retire comfortably. But let's be honest. How many people do you know who lived that script exactly as promised? The education system itself wasn't designed to cultivate free thinkers. It was modeled after the Prussian system, built to create obedient workers for factories. The bells, the schedules, the standardized curriculum. All of it was designed to prepare young minds for one thing: showing up on time, following orders, and not asking too many questions. And when you finally do land that good job, what happens? You trade your time for a paycheck. You live under the constant threat that one economic downturn, one corporate merger, one algorithm replacing your work could take it all away. The American dream promised safety. The reality is dependency. Consumerism as control. Here's where it gets darker. After World War II, corporations and advertisers went on the offensive. They saw an opportunity to fuel an economy through endless consumption. Television commercials glamorized new cars, appliances, clothing, and gadgets. Magazines were filled with images of smiling families, each one perfectly dressed, perfectly manicured, perfectly happy because they owned the latest product. The dream became a shopping list. Your worth wasn't measured in character or contribution. It was measured in things: the size of your house, the brand of your car, the labels on your clothes. And the advertising machine had one mission: to make sure you never felt complete. They needed you to always want more, always comparing yourself to others, always chasing the next purchase, because if you ever woke up satisfied, the system would collapse. And to make sure you could afford this dream, they gave you credit. Credit cards were rolled out in the 1950s and aggressively marketed by the 1960s. Student loans expanded in the 1970s. Auto financing became standard, and mortgages were bigger and longer than ever before. Debt became the fuel of the dream. By 2025, the average American household had carried over $90,000 in debt. The dream requires you to owe. It requires you to be enslaved to monthly payments, late fees, interest rates, and financial anxiety. Think about it. A person graduates from college with tens of thousands in student debt. They get a job to pay it off. They take on a mortgage to buy the dream house. They finance cars. They get credit cards to cover expenses. They take out loans for their kids' education. By the time they're middle-aged, they are drowning in obligations. The dream doesn't give them freedom. It guarantees servitude. How to escape the nightmare? Not everyone stays trapped. Some people wake up. Some people see the illusion for what it is, and they decide to live differently. There was a man who realized that his 30-year mortgage wasn't a symbol of success, but a prison sentence. Instead of upgrading to a bigger house every few years, he chose something smaller. He paid it off quickly. He stopped chasing the image and started building assets, businesses, investments, streams of income that worked while he slept. There was a single mother who worked 2 jobs, always stressed, always stretched thin. One day, she realized she wasn't climbing out of the hole, she was digging deeper. Instead of waiting for a raise that never came, she started a side hustle. It was small at first, but she nurtured it. She grew it. Within 5 years, she left her job entirely. She no longer needed a boss. She owned her own time. There was a young man who looked at the cost of college and said no. Everyone told him he was crazy. But instead of sinking into decades of student debt, he learned online. He studied skills that were in demand. He built projects. He failed. He tried again. And eventually, he built something real. Today, he employs others who still believe that college and working for others are the only paths. These people aren't exceptions. They're proof. Proof that once you stop buying the dream, you can start building your own legacy. So let's redefine it. Let's rewrite the code. The real dream isn't about a house, a job, a car, or a debt balance. It's about freedom. Freedom of time, freedom of choice, freedom of creation. It's about building assets instead of liabilities, creating things that pay you instead of things that drain you. It's about legacy, not the things you own, but the impact you leave. Legacy is when you stop playing by their rules and start writing your own. So I'll ask you, are you living the dream or are you trapped in it? Are you building a life that belongs to you, or are you fueling a system that feeds on your labor, your spending, and your energy? The American dream, as it was sold, was designed to keep you broke. But once you see it for what it is, you have a choice. You don't have to buy into the illusion. Build the truth. Don't chase possessions. Create freedom. Don't settle for the dream they sold you. Write the legacy that only you can leave. Because at the end of the day, the dream isn't about what you own. The real dream is about who you become. If you got value from this video, hit the like button and subscribe. That way, we can continue this journey together. Thank you for watching.